Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rory McLennan coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. The Synod of Bishops has come out with a 45-page text that provides a frame of reference for the work of the second stage of the synodal path launched by the Holy Father last year. Entitled The Document for the Continental Stage, the text was prepared after scrutinising the syntheses coming from the churches on the continents. It includes the concerns of the poor, indigenous families, remarried divorcees, single parents, LGBTQ people, victims of trafficking, and laicized priests. The document claims to reflect the whole of humanity with its wounds, fears, and its imperfections and demands. It is the result of meetings, consultations, dialogues, and initiatives that took place at the diocesan level around the world. They were then sent to the General Secretariat of the Synod and collected in a single document. The census in Canada has revealed that the number of Catholics in the country has dipped by almost 2 million over the past 10 years. Based on figures compiled in 2021, the census data said that the Catholic population now stands at 10.9 million, comprising 29.9% of the total population. In 2011, the number of Catholics stood at 12.8 million. Similarly, the number of people who identify themselves as Christian has dropped to 53.3% in 2021, down from 67.3% in 2011. These figures were revealed by Statistics Canada on October the 26th in its official report. It says that despite the decline, the Catholic faith still remains the most popular religious affiliation in all provinces and territories, except in Nunavut, where the residents are mostly Anglican. The Church in England and Wales has reiterated that it would carefully examine the contents of a national report on the sexual abuse of children. The report caused ripples in the Catholic Church when it recommended reporting abuse to the police when the perpetrators admit to it during confession. It was on October the 20th that the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse was released after 7 years of investigation. The Catholic Church issued a statement in which it offered an unreserved apology to victims and promised to carefully study its contents. Cardinal Vincent Nichols of Westminster, who is the head of the Episcopate of England and Wales, said that the confessional seal was sacred, adding that he would defend it. The Cardinal said that the bishops would reject any move to bring in a law that mandates breaking the confessional seal. He also reminded the inquiry that several Catholics had died in defence of the confessional seal. In the United States, children of an elementary school in Texas who escaped a mass shooting have sent letters to Pope Francis seeking his prayers. It was in Robb Elementary School in Uvalde that an 18-year-old gunned down 19 children and 2 teachers on May the 24th. The letters were sent from Uvalde's Sacred Heart Catholic School, where many Robb students had transferred with the aid of scholarships of Chicago-based Catholic Extension. The school librarian, Sister Maria Luisa Aldapi, sent the letters to the Pope through Catholic Extension Chancellor Cardinal Blaise Cupich of Chicago. The Holy Father replied to the letters sent from the school and promised his prayers for the victims of the shooting. The Vatican's substitute for General Affairs of the Secretariat of State, Archbishop Edgar Peña Parra, wrote on behalf of the Pope to Father John Wall, the President of the Catholic Extension. In his letter, he said the Pope remembers them in his prayers. Members of the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops will elect their new president and vice president, as well as chairman-elect of 6 conference committees during their 5-day fall plenary assembly in Baltimore. The meeting will be held from November the 14th through the 17th. The assembly will begin with an address by the Apostolic Nuncio Archbishop Christophe Pierre. It will be followed by the final address of Archbishop Jose Gomez of Los Angeles, who completes his 3-year tenure. The tenure of the newly elected bishops will begin after the conclusion of the meeting. During the meeting, the bishops will also discuss several topics, including the ongoing war in Ukraine, the Eucharistic Revival Initiative, and programs to support vulnerable women and children. A judge in Scotland has directed a Glasgow venue to pay over $111,000 to noted evangelist Franklin Graham for cancelling an event organised by his Billy Graham Evangelistic Association in 2020. On October the 24th, Sheriff McCormick ruled that the Scottish Event Campus Limited, or SEC, breached the equality law and discriminated against the association by cancelling the event that was slated to be held at the Hydro Arena in May of 2020. The judge also said that the pursuer's right to engage a speaker at the evangelistic event in furtherance of a religious or philosophical belief is protected by law. The SEC did so because it did not agree with Mr. Graham's views on human sexuality and on Islam. Graham had publicly criticised homosexuality and referred to the Muslim faith as wicked and cruel. 7 other UK venues cancelled Graham's God Loves You tour also. In Poland, a Catholic university has opened a study centre at a penitentiary unit. The John Paul II Catholic University of Lubin, or KUL, opened a study centre at the Lubin Detention Centre. University Rector Father Mirosław Kalinowski said that the centre can become a model for all penitentiary units. It was with Holy Mass that the academic year was inaugurated at the detention centre, followed by the opening of the study facility. This enables inmates to have a chance for higher education and to assimilate ethical and humanistic values. Among the new students are 10 inmates of the penitentiary who enrolled in the first year of studies of the Master's Degree programme in Family Sciences. Cardinal Konrad Krajewski, the papal almoner, conveyed the greetings of the Pope to the new facility. In his message, the pontiff said it is not enough to pay the blame, but the true rehabilitation of the condemned is necessary. In France, as part of a government proposal to legalise euthanasia, 150 randomly chosen citizens will debate whether or not to adopt a law that legalises assisted dying. The debate will begin this month and will continue over the next 6 months. Polls reveal that 93% of citizens favour the right to assisted suicide in the country. President Emmanuel Macron had said on September the 13th that the debate would be used to alter the legal framework by the end of the next year. After the president announced the proposal to legalise assisted suicide, the bishops in France warned that the move departed from the ethical heritage of the Catholic country. In France, the current law permits terminally ill patients to refuse treatments and to receive deep and continuous sedation until death. In what is seen as an attempt to combat terrorism, the African nation of Burkina Faso has started recruiting 5,000 volunteers for the defence of the Homeland Force. These civilian auxiliaries will reinforce the ranks of the military. This local recruitment is in addition to the plan to build a force of 15,000 volunteers who will be deployed throughout the country. They will be tasked with protecting civilians in various municipalities from jihadist attacks. The volunteers will receive 14 days of civic and military training before being given arms and ammunition, apart from means of communication. The decision to open volunteers from the civilian population was taken in the wake of growing attacks by Islamist militants in recent years. The Armenian Defence Ministry has confirmed that neighbouring Azerbaijan has handed over the bodies of 10 Armenian servicemen who were killed during the conflict on September the 13th. At least 207 Armenian soldiers were killed or were reported missing during the Azerbaijani aggression. Earlier this week, Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan said on Twitter that the Azerbaijani side was setting up obstacles in the search for the bodies of Armenian soldiers. The conflict between both sides took place near the cities of Vardenis, Goris, Sotk and Yermuk and involved heavy artillery. It was the biggest escalation of hostilities between the countries since the 2021-2022 border clashes. About 300 casualties were reported and dozens were injured in the clashes. Turkish and Azerbaijani media falsely claimed that Armenia undertook large-scale provocations near the border. However, this was disproven by several third-party sources. Polish authorities on Thursday knocked down 4 communist-era monuments at 4 different places across the country. According to the Associated Press, most of the monuments were in the form of concrete obelisks dedicated to the soldiers of the Red Army who died during fighting with Nazi German forces during the Second World War. The workers used heavy equipment to dismantle the monuments. Since the fall of communism in the country in 1989, Poland has been taking steps to remove communist-era symbols from the public sphere. Thursday's action was also part of expressing condemnation over Russia's war in Ukraine. Poland has been helping Ukraine with financial aid and military support since the beginning of the Russian invasion in February. The Irish Diocese of Meath has announced that the cause for the canonisation of Servant of God, Father Willie Doyle, will be opened next month. Bishop Tom Deanahan declared that the cause for the priest, who strengthened soldiers during World War I, would be formally opened at a ceremony in the Cathedral of Christ the King on Sunday, November the 20th. Father Doyle served as the military chaplain of the 8th Battalion Royal Irish Fusiliers during World War I from November 1915 until his death in August in 1917. During his chaplaincy, he stood with soldiers who were going through the horrors of war. He was killed during the Battle of Passchendaele while trying to save 2 wounded Anglican soldiers from Ulster. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again tomorrow for more, and do remember, you can also visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.